It's so dark outside, I literally had to turn on the house lights. That's how you know Halloween is coming. Let's get started. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba-ba. Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Oktoberfest here on Thumb Together. My name is Andrew Fantasia. As usual, if you enjoyed this video, please feel free to give it a thumbs up and give some love to that subscribe button as well. Guess what? Today's my death day. No, I lied. Today's not my death day. At least I hope it's not. But death days are the focus of today's movie. And today's movie is, of course, Happy Death Day. And let me tell you something, folks. Happy Death Day came out of nowhere and really surprised me. This little gem came out halfway through October in 2017. So it's a very recent movie. It might be the most recent movie we talk about here on Oktoberfest this year. But here's the thing. See, Happy Death Day kind of flew under my radar. It looked like schlock, so I avoided it. And I'm very sorry for doing so. Because while you could argue that yes, in a way, Happy Death Day kind of is schlock at times, God, it's so much more than that. Happy Death Day tells the story of a girl named Tree who is a very self-absorbed, vapid sorority girl. And today is Tree's birthday. So she wakes up and it's her birthday and, she goes about her day. Then, at the end of the day, something terrible happens to her. And when she wakes up in the morning, time has reset and it's her birthday again. And she keeps reliving the same day over and over. And that same horrible thing is still looming on the horizon, waiting to strike. Now, yes, this is the plot of Groundhog Day, but done as a slasher film / mystery thriller. And like Groundhog Day, Happy Death Day seems to be played 90% of the time for laughs. And guess what? It works. This movie, guys, is really funny, as well as being just a very clever premise. The film does a great job of establishing the characters and the world that inhabit Tree's life, and then slowly but surely starting to unravel them as she goes crazy because she keeps waking up on the same day every day. So you will see Tree interacting with the same people in the same situations as she turns those situations on their heads and reacts in different ways to elicit different responses, just like Bill Murray did in Groundhog Day. The difference here is, minor spoilers, there is a person in a mask with a knife and other assorted weapons running around the campus trying to kill Tree. And the best part is that person in the mask is not necessarily the only person around who wants to inflict harm on Tree. She's not a very well-liked person. So when the film turns into this whodunit kind of thing, you're already having so much fun because you're like, well, geez, every single person who has interacted with Tree would want to kill her. She's that kind of person. And now all of a sudden, you're on her side and you're trying to figure out who this mystery assailant is. Meanwhile, there's bound to be more assailants if she keeps up the way she is. There's a great little mishmash of just wonderful storytelling from all different facets of media that we've seen before. I mean, yes, there's the Groundhog Day element. There's the element of something like Scream, where there's a masked killer, and it's not, just like a Michael Myers guy. It's somebody that Tree knows, somebody in her orbit wearing a mask, and we have to figure out who it is and why. So it's very reminiscent of Scream in that way. It's also very reminiscent of one of my favorite movies ever, A Christmas Carol. Because at the beginning of the film, guys, Tree is straight up a terrible person, but she has reasons for being a terrible person. She's got a past. But because she's experiencing this unique event, Tree starts to see her own faults. They start to be laid bare in front of her. And by the end of the film, without spoiling anything, Tree walks out of a certain situation as a much better person than she was at the beginning of the movie. So it's a very Scrooge story too, just with this crazy sorority girl who's being hunted down by an even crazier masked killer. This whole film is like a delicious pizza that has a lot of toppings on it. Like when you can't decide what toppings you want, so you're like, let's put some Italian style toppings, let's put some Canadian style toppings. Yeah, why not? Let's get some extra sauce and cheese on there. It really just piles on the toppings, but it never tastes like a mess. Never for a second. Happy Death Day always tastes wonderful, and by the end, you might even find yourself, and I'm not kidding here, this happened to me, you might even find yourself at a certain point getting a little bit choked up. Yeah, Happy Death Day has very sweet moments in it, and very sweet morals to kind of combine into this package, wherein, Tree has to learn about herself and come to grips with what her life has become, and that gets you. that gets you, because here's this girl who's just trying to live, and then suddenly she's very much not living, and you feel for her in ways that I don't think I have ever felt for a character in a slasher movie ever. Period. Now let's quickly talk about the sequel. There's a sequel that came out in February of this year, of 2019, called Happy Death Day to You. And the sequel really amped things up, but it also changed the genre around. Now the slasher element is still there, but it's very, very small. It takes a backseat. And this time the movie is more of a straight-up comedy with a whole lot of science fiction thrown into the mix. Because we get an explanation regarding why Tree went through what she went through in the first movie. In fact, this picks up very shortly after the first movie leaves off. And yeah, the explanation is not magic, but it's some very wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey science fiction stuff. So Happy Death Day to You doubles down on the sci-fi, and it really doubles down on the comedy, and I think sometimes that's to its detriment. It's not as good as its predecessor, because I find that the comedy moments can get a little bit cartoony in this one, and the sweet moments, even though they are there, don't feel quite as sincere, and they are fewer and farther between. So even though I still had a hell of a fun time with Happy Death Day to You, and even though the ending of Happy Death Day to You made me really hungry for a Happy Death Day 3, which apparently isn't going to happen now, but man, I'm really disappointed because that tease they gave me was fantastic. Despite all that, I enjoyed Happy Death Day to You, just not as much as its fan-bloody-tastic original. So that's Happy Death Day, that's Oktoberfest for today. My name is Andrew Fantasia, thanks so much for tuning in. I'll see you here next time, and until then, adios.